will be the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. And that moment will cap off a year that saw Democrats lose the Senate and the White House, giving Republicans control of both chambers of Congress and, of course, the Oval Office. Now Democrats are looking for some new leadership, with 8 main candidates vying to succeed Jamie Harrison as chair of the Democratic National Committee. Joining us now is one of those candidates, Wisconsin Democratic Party Chair Ben Wikler. Ben, good to see you again this morning. We'll get to the race in just a moment, but first, just how are you talking to your fellow Democrats? How should they prepare for what's coming in just a week's time? Donald Trump's ascension again to the Oval Office and Republicans in complete control of the federal government.
We should be prepared for an onslaught. This is a grave moment for the country. We remember 2017. That time, Trump came in without a real plan. Now Trump has a plan to rain down far-right extreme policies on working families across this country. And that means we need to be ready to fight. That means communicating everywhere across the country, across every platform. It means organizing on the ground right away. And there are elections like Wisconsin Supreme Court election on April 1st, like House special elections in Florida. All over the country, we're going to have fights where we can show that we're on the side of working people against a Trump administration that wants to divide folks so that he can rip them all off. And we need to be ready right now.
So, Ben, that sounds a little bit like your closing argument for the DNC election and coming up in a couple of weeks. But talk to us as to why you think you're the right person for that job and what is clearly a pivotal moment for the party.
Well, I think we need a vastly stronger Democratic Party, and we have to choose now whether to do more of what we've been doing or change. The other leading candidate in the race, Ken Martin, has been the head of building up state parties since Trump was first elected. He's been a vice chair of the DNC, and he hasn't done it. He's gotten the title, but he hasn't taken responsibility, and state parties haven't gotten the resources they deserve. And that means when Florida ran out of funds and organizers were about to lose their health insurance, I had to step in to fill the gap. I think we could keep doing what we're doing, or we could do what we've done in Wisconsin, where we've transformed our party, the biggest year-round organizing, fueled by the most fundraising of any Democratic state party in the country, with hundreds of thousands of donors. And this year, when Republican turnout rose everywhere, but Democratic turnout fell in most states, including Minnesota, we had more Democratic votes in Wisconsin. That's why we had the highest turnout in the country. So we could promote Ken Martin from vice chair to chair and get more of what we've had. Or if I'm elected DNC chair, we can bring the kind of transformation we've done in Wisconsin nationwide. And I think with the urgency of this moment, that kind of change is what we need.
Ben, I've followed you fairly closely since around 2015 when visiting Wisconsin on research trips. You agreed to be interviewed and speak to us, and you indeed have kept up the intensity and the momentum every year, treating every year like an election year. But how do you replicate that to, you call it the 57 state and territory strategy? How do you go to, say, my home state in Mississippi and give more resources and more energy? How does the Wisconsin model transfer to these other states that are caught up in one-party rule, essentially?
Well, the key is, what happened in Georgia over a decade with Stacey Abrams leading the way, what they've done in Michigan with Lavora Barnes, with Anderson Clayton's work in North Carolina, each of those folks supporting my campaign. It takes a strategy in each state. It's not one 50-state party, 57-state party strategy. It's 50 state strategies and a strategy for each territory where you map out every fight and you build from one fight to the next. Once you have that plan, you can pitch it to folks, you can build the resources, and we've raised, again, more money in Wisconsin than any other state party in the country, each of the cycles that I've been chair. But folks want to invest when they see that you know how to build and win. And that's what we need at the DNC at this moment. It's not about dividing up the pie of what money is already there. Fundraising can fall off a cliff when you don't have a Democratic president. You need to be able to earn trust from people by showing that you can fight. Minnesota, we lost a state legislative seat. We lost the majorities. In Wisconsin, we flipped 14 state legislative seats this election cycle and reelected Tammy Baldwin. And now we're working on the Supreme Court race on April 1st. It is looking forward to the next fight, explaining what your strategy is, building transparency transparency, not sticking with the same folks who've made the same decisions that haven't worked out. It is building something new and innovating. That's how we've been able to do this in Wisconsin. I think that's what we need, working with every state to map out the plan with Democratic candidates and electeds and unions and our partners up and down the ballot, and then actually going out, executing, and showing what we can do. The country needs us to do this right now because things could get really dark if the Democratic Party doesn't get a lot stronger fast.
Yeah. Chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin and candidate for DNC Chair Ben Wickler. Ben, thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.